Hey, happy Memorial Day, my people at Black Hollywood Live Land. Oh, it's your girl, Carla Renata, a.k.a. the Curvy Film Critic. Did Aladdin leave us speechless? And what about Duvernay's When They See Us? Oh, and we got a special guest in house, Angelique Jackson from Variety. Stay right there.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Carla Renata, a.k.a. the Curvy Film Critic. We are here for episode 61 of the Curvy Film Critic at Black Hollywood Live, and I have a special guest in-house, Miss Angelique Jackson from Variety.
Hey, guys. Hey, thank you so much for having me. So
Girl,
excited to be
I've been trying to get you forever.
Well, thank God we finally made it happen.
We finally did it. Oh my goodness, we got so much to talk about. I don't want to waste one more second, but I do want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day. It's been a beautiful, nice, cloudy, cold, overcast day in Los Angeles. I don't know how it's been where you are, but I hope you had lots of barbecue and that you were drinking a cocktail for me. Cheers.
Yes. Cheers.
So I just want to hit I want to sprinkle news items throughout instead of hitting them all at one time, because I know when we get to when they see us, we're going to talk for a minute.
Yes, we are.
But before we do all of that, I want you to tell the people a little bit about you, because they may not. I know who I know who the fantabulous Angelique Jackson is, but they may not know.
Hey guys, so I am a producer, reporter, and writer over at Variety. I've been covering film for about 7 years now. I was formerly with Entertainment Tonight, and I just love getting to talk about movies. I mean, who gets this as a job, people? Seriously, other than me and Carla. So
I was about to say, we do.
We're very, very lucky, but it is the best job in the world.
It really, really is. Okay, now that we've knocked that out of the way, let's get into the first controversy that went. It was a lot of controversies going on this week.
It was a wild week.
It was a crazy week. So the first controversy that went down was, and this made me so sad. It made me so sad, and I was so disappointed, because I've interviewed Jason Mitchell numerous times on the red carpet. He was always so nice. He was always so lovely. He always gave me a plethora of sound bites. I used to live for when he would come down the carpet to us, either if I was representing Black Hollywood Live or Popcorn Talk or AfterBuzz TV. I loved when he would come down. So this made me particularly sad when I happened to look at my phone and there were alerts. The first one said that he had been dropped by his management. Mm-hmm. The second one said that he had been dropped by his agent.
Yeah.
And then the last one said that he had been dropped by the show.
Yes.
And I was like, what the hell is going on?
And it all seemed to happen really fast.
It happened like in a matter of 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I got those 3 alerts. And I was just like, what is going on? And now apparently there's a young lady that worked with him on The Chi that said that he made her extremely uncomfortable on set, to the point where she didn't want to come to work when he was there.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, you don't know somebody until you know them.
Absolutely. But that's what I learned from this.
You know, but I was just like, I was really taken aback by that. What did you feel about that situation? Because I was like, what?
I was completely shocked. And it was kind of a situation where, you know, amongst my reporter friends in the newsroom, we were all just very surprised by the situation, because for so long, while Jason wasn't, you know, the world's biggest actor, he was very beloved in the community. He was getting all of these really great roles. He was being promoted by Lena Waithe with The Chi. And then all of a sudden, for everything to go away and to go away so quickly, we all knew that something really bad must have happened.
Yeah, and for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, Jason he played Eazy-E in Straight Outta Compton. So that kind of catapulted him into the stratosphere, so to speak, and then everything else kind of dominoed.
Yeah, followed with Mudbound.
And he was in a film called The Mustang, you know. Bruce Dern was in that. I'm just like, oh man, like, how can you mess up like that? Like, that was some serious messing up.
But like you said, you know, it goes to show that as much as we thought we knew someone we were interviewing, that there was a lot going on behind the scenes that we were not necessarily privy to. And as the allegations and more details have kind of come forward about what was going on set, it did seem like, okay, yes, this was clearly serious, and it was clearly something that was not just an issue on the set of The Chi.
I know. I feel bad for Lena Waithe, because, you know, I'm sure she's being bombarded with those questions and she doesn't want to be. is putting a stain on her show, which had such critical acclaim and is very popular, is putting a stain on his career. Like, I don't know if my brother's going to be able to bounce back from this. And if he did what Tiffany alleges that he did, then he probably shouldn't bounce back from it. I hate to say that, but there's no room for that anymore in the world of hashtag Me Too. There's no room for that. So
yeah, there's no room for bad behavior, and I applaud all of the women who spoke up and said that enough was enough, and we weren't going to deal with whatever this alleged misconduct was.
I know. Let me just shout out some people in the chat room. They always join me even when I'm here by myself. Miss Jenna James, Michael B. What Michael B? Where you been, brother? And Marlon Wallace. Hello, y'all, and thank you so much for joining me in the chat room. If you have some questions for Angelique Jackson from Variety, please let me know. I got the iPad up and ready. I got the chat room up. I'm looking at it, and I can, do all of that. Jenna said that it was his girlfriend/fiance on the show that Tiffany played his girlfriend/fiance. Okay, well, clearly he was blurring the lines of reality, and that's
entirely inappropriate. As an actor, I'm sure you know.
Yeah, that
is like the number one rule.
Let me tell you something. I did a play here in Los Angeles where I'm not going to say where it was because then people figure it out, but I did a play in LA, and a guy that played my boyfriend in the show, he came for me, and he came for me because I kind of flirted with him and I made him think that it was okay. But then I was like, oh, I shouldn't be in this position. But when I said no, he wouldn't take no for an answer. Yeah. Like, he started to stalk me almost. And it made me really uncomfortable, even after I communicated to him that he was making me uncomfortable and that I needed for him to stop. He would, I remember one night in particular, I came out to my car. I would this is how bad it was. I would underdress my clothes under my and put my costume over it so that when we took our last bow, I could just snatch that costume off and bounce out the door. That's how bad it was. And I did that one night, and girl, I bounced out to that car, and I got out there, and his car was parked next to mine. And as I was going click, click to get in the car, I heard him go, "Hey, Carla." I was like, he is not standing out here lurking in the dark. Yeah. Like, is that really happening?
And that's what's scary. What's scary is when people don't take your word at your word. And really, there's no room in this business for that.
No, there isn't. Jenna James says, all I can say is for all the brothers on these shows and TV is not to let anyone in your dressing room that is a female and shake hands. No more of that hugging, if you will. This is the thing. You got to be able to feel the temperature. Mm-hmm. You got to be able, you can feel, like, just before we went on the air, my producer Steph, who's fantabulous, lovely, beautiful, and all that, she came in and she came to hug Angelique, and Angelique was like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're a hugger." You got to be able to feel the temperature of the room and know who you can hug and know who you need to be shaking hands with and know whose room that you don't need to be in.
And if they tell you one way or the other, believe them.
No means no.
No. That's it.
Just
That's
get it together.
You can make a mistake once.
Yeah,
but when it becomes repeated, when it becomes a behavior,
when it's habitual, then
that's a problem.
Yeah, when it's habitual, then that's a problem. All right, so now let's get into.
We got real dark and.
I know. I'm like, let me get out of there real quick. So let's get into the real subject of the matter. Aladdin.
Yes.
Did Aladdin leave us speechless, or did it leave us going, I could kind of use some more? And I know for me, I wasn't left speechless, but I really liked Aladdin.
I really liked it too. I really liked it. I felt like Will, in particular, who got the most hate from the beginning, from the very first trailer. Y'all were mean.
Look,
let me just tell you, y'all were mean.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those people that I was like, Will Smith is the genie. I don't know. And because this is my thing, and I've said this more than one time here on this show, and I say it more than one time in a lot of places, but I'm like, when things are that iconic, some things are better left alone. Like, some things you should just leave it alone, let it stand on its own merit. And I think people probably wouldn't have gone in as hard if Robin Williams were still alive. Yes. I think if Robin Williams was still alive and Robin Williams was like, yo, I'm all about it, or if he was able to do a cameo and do a little something with Will, people probably wouldn't have been as critical about it. But the fact that now that Robin Williams has passed and has reached that iconic, mythical, legendary status, it's hard to compete with a ghost.
Absolutely.
And I give it to Will that he wasn't trying to compete with Ghost. I went to the global press junket for this, and I remember sitting in the room and someone asked him that question, why did you decide to tackle the role of the genie? Why would you decide to tackle something that Robin Williams did? And Will Smith said, first of all, you can't be Robin Williams. There's one Robin Williams, and Robin Williams, frankly, didn't leave a whole lot of room for interpretation with that role, because he changed the game with animation when he did the genie. Up until Robin Williams' role as the genie in Aladdin, people weren't doing that kind of thing with animated roles. It was very straight and forward, right?
Yeah, it was basically like doing a voiceover.
Right.
And that was real acting. He acted that role.
I mean, he was giving you all them different voices that he did, that schizophrenic kind of comedic humor that he was known for. He was giving you all of that as a genie. So Will said two things he decided to do. He decided that he was going to bring what was unique and special about him, which is his rapping, which is his own different, very hilarious sense of humor. He was going to bring all of that to the table. And then as far as A Friend Like Me is concerned, he had to think of a different way to do that song. And he was like, he decided that he was going to go back and reference the Honey Drippers and Eric B. Rakim and use that 94, 96 BPM to kind of like mess with the beat a little bit. And when I tell y'all, Will Smith, you did your thing.
He really did his thing.
He did his thing.
And that's why I felt like the movie worked. That's why I felt like the genie worked, is because he decided to be himself. And like you said, there is no room to try and be Robin Williams. No one should try to be Robin Williams. I mean, we already had Jumanji come out, as the part 2 to that movie. I'm not a fan. Okay, yep, she's got some thoughts on Jumanji. But well, then I'm glad that this one was a much more successful version. We do not need to redo Flubber. Is that what you're saying? Okay, let's leave Flubber alone, people.
We need to leave Flubber alone. Let Jumanji sit where it's sitting.
But this Aladdin, if they were going to remake it again, and they were going to do a live-action version of it, I'm glad it was someone like Will Smith, who I do feel like came with it with a respect level, with a maturity of understanding, listen, I'm going to do this as me. I felt like all of those reasons made it worth it to make the movie, because they were going to do it no matter what.
Exactly. And another thing that he said is that he wanted to break away from that Will Smith persona that he had locked himself into, that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that Men in Black, that Independence Day persona that he had been locked into. He needed to just get away from himself and break away from an image that he created. And now he's opened up a whole new lane. I hope we get to see him do some more animated flicks and do some more voices. And I really enjoyed him. They're saying in the chat room, Marlon Wallace said, Aladdin has been on Broadway for years. People didn't criticize James Monroe Englehart, who won the Tony. People just didn't like the bad CGI. Well, the CGI was a little funky.
I thought it actually was better looking in the movie than it was in the trailers. I felt like maybe it's just because you were seeing the full scope of the world and it just fit better when you're seeing the way that they created the cave and the way they created Agrabah. I thought it blended better. But I think, again, it was because I was fully immersed in it. And I think that's what's hard about all of it.
Yeah. He also said during that very same junket that he was never painted blue. Anytime you saw him as a genie painted blue, that was all CGI, which that's why it looks so weird. It looked a little chalky. It looked a little strange. But once you got past all of that, and I'm not gonna lie, the first part of the movie was it felt like everybody was trying to get their stride. Then about midway through is when you felt everybody, Aladdin, Jasmine, the genie, everybody got comfortable and they went in, and
once
was great.
It hit Friend Like Me for me, then I was like, all right, we turned this on. Like everything else was just like the prologue.
I'm like, okay, it's good. And Jenna James said, I really hope Disney does a live action Treasure Planet, Atlantis, Lilo and Stitch. Oh, you got a list, Jenna James, and Fantasia. Well, okay. And Michael B's like, I love to see the Gargoyles movie. I'm like, y'all got jokes in the chat room today. Y'all are killing me. Y'all killing me softly. But I loved Aladdin, and this is the other thing that I loved about Aladdin. Two or three things. So they gave Princess Jasmine, who's played fantastically fabulously by Naomi Scott.
Naomi
They gave
Scott,
her a handmaid.
Queen.
They gave her a handmaid, and the handmaid is kind of quirky and funny. And she's like the perfect little sidekick. I'm like, okay, sidekicks rule. I love that.
Yes.
You know, I was a sidekick when I was Shinzi the Lion King, so I'm all about the sidekick action. I love that. I love that they made Jasmine. They changed the storyline just slightly, tweaked it just slightly, and made Jasmine want to take over as the Sultan.
Yes.
Which was the prologue for her into this song called Speechless, a brand new song, a song that doesn't exist in the original animation feature. It doesn't exist on Broadway. They wrote it specifically for the Disney film. And for those of you that don't know, whenever a film is remade like this, they have to have at least one song, or if it's a Broadway show or whatever it is that they're bringing to the screen, they have to have at least one song that wasn't in the original production, that wasn't in the original film, in order for that song to be considered for Oscar time. Yeah. So I think Alan Menken did his thing.
Oh, Alan Menken was not playing around with any of this. And that's what I loved so much, because obviously he's a genius. He's a legend. And he, for Speechless, teamed up with Benj Pasek and Justin Paul of Dear Evan Hansen and La La Land fame. And they went in there and they worked it out for Speechless.
They truly did. And Naomi was so excited. She was like, okay, first of all, I booked the role of Jasmine in Aladdin. Okay, she said that was crazy enough. But then I'm going to have a song that they're going to write just for me by the people from La La Land and Dear Evan Hansen and Alan Menken. She's like, come on now. But when you hear her sing that song, my girl, let's us have it with that song. I was like, oh, she and Mina Masood, who plays Aladdin, they're going to be huge stars.
That was my like immediate reaction. Those were like the three things that I love the most about the movie, that the two of them are going to be huge stars, and then that Will was so good. That in itself was, I was like, cool, I'm good. I think this was a success.
And let me shout out my boy Naveed. Naveed played the Sultan. And Naveed, everybody knows from Homeland, but he's actually a friend of mine. So shout out to Naveed. I know,
Naveed
right?
is amazing. He's the nicest guy, and it's so fun to watch him not play a villain. And he said that. He said, I spoke to him on the red carpet, and he talked a bit about how, he got to play the Sultan this time, and it was kind of fun. And he said when he was playing it at home with his kids, he would always get to be Jafar. They would always make him be Jafar, and I was like, oh well, no villain for you.
No more. Oh, speaking of Jafar, so I was telling Angelique before we got on the air that I did a show on Broadway with a guy that was the voice of Jafar in the original animated feature. His name is Jonathan Freeman. And when I left the show that we were in together, he had been given a genie lamp, and then he bequeathed me the genie lamp, and I was going to bring it in today to put it on camera to show you guys, but what I'll do is I'll just pull it out in my house and take a picture with it and be like, hey,
remember that thing I told you about? This is it.
remember that lamp I was telling you about? Here it is. And
she just didn't want me to get her wishes. That was the thing. She was worried.
I was trying to save my 3 wishes, and it lights up and everything. Girl, I was so excited. I had been holding on to that lamp and traveling all over the country with that lamp for decades. So I just had to throw that out there. Jenna says, after seeing Naomi Scott in the role, I hope she gets cast in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film, maybe a Spider-Woman or Kitty Pryde or DC opposite Rob as Catwoman. Look, Naomi Scott right now can write her own ticket to wherever she wants to go.
You know she's about to be in Charlie's Angels, right? So we get 2 Naomi Scott movies this year. She's Elena in Charlie's Angels. So excited about that reboot as well. Directed by the amazing Elizabeth Banks. So, Naomi's coming for us.
Yes, and speaking of Elizabeth Banks, let's just give a shout out to our girl Olivia Wilde, who had nationwide release with Booksmart this weekend. And you guys, if you have not seen Booksmart yet, the day is not over. The first weekend box office counts for most of everything, and it keeps it in theaters, keeps it in more screens. Please get out and support your girl Olivia Wilde. Booksmart is hilarious. It's going to become one of those iconic high school films like Fast Times at Ridgemont High or American Graffiti or any of those types of films or Superbad. It's going to be legendary like that.
Which again, let's note that the lead actress, Beanie Feldstein, is Jonah Hill's sister. So if you even just like Superbad, please go see Booksmart because it is fantastic. The women behind that movie are just absolutely incredible. Billie Lourd even steals that show. She's crazy fun.
Billie Lourd is Gigi is hilarious. I have an interview on the Black Hollywood Live site that I did with Billie Lourd, and she cracked me up. I asked her what was the craziest thing she ever did in high school, and she said that she was pretty cool in high school, but she said she decided to she decided to take off her shirt and she had on a bra or something and she got in trouble for it. And she was like, I didn't even free the nipples. And I hollered. Like, after she said that, I'm like, how can I ask you another question after that?
No, you're like, I think we're good.
I'm like,
is that a wrap?
I'm like, I think we're done. I can't ask you another question after that, because how do you follow that up? And what I was reminded of, very lovely reminded of, when she speaks, her speaking voice is very much like her mother's when she speaks. And she's got that same acerbic, spot on comedic timing as her mom. So, you know, Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher's legacy is well intact and in full effect with Miss Billy. All right. Now let's get into this film. But before we do, I want to talk, because this is the perfect lead into it. So earlier today, I'm a TCM, Turner Classic Movie Backlot fan member. And last fall, I did TCM with AFCA, the African American Film Critics Association, and introduced 4 films in September. And then today, my dream came true, because I actually introduced films with Ben Mankiewicz. I was so excited I couldn't see straight. But not only excited because I introduced films with Ben Mankiewicz, but because I got to watch it with my mom. Oh. And my mother is a huge classic film lover and TCM lover. We watch TCM all the time, so it's always very emotional for me to watch TCM and I'm on it with my mom, because it's like a full circle moment for me, and it's everything. But as I was tweeting about my appearance on that show today, where I introduced High Society, some internet troll came for me and called me a darkie, said that I had a low IQ, said that I needed to not be in places where I didn't belong. And Ava DuVernay came online and she didn't come for them, but she came online and she was like, yeah, forget them. You do you and you shine, baby, shine. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
You were like, I don't even care.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, man.
I'm good. I know Ava, and she didn't have to say nothing. And I know and this is what I do know, she is very selective about what she says on Twitter. And she doesn't say anything about anybody or address any situation unless she feels very strongly about it. So this must have struck a chord for her in terms of being in my lane for me in that moment, because I'm trying to crush it with film criticism. I love what I'm doing. I love it, and she knows that. Yeah. So she was like, yeah, bump them. You just keep doing what you're doing. Well, I am going to keep shining, Miss Ava DuVernay, but I just wanted to thank you on camera and on the iTunes and on the Spotify that my face hurts. I'm smiling so hard. I can't even find enough adjectives or the words to adequately thank you for what you did today. It actually brings tears to my eyes. Thank you so very much. The other thing that brought tears to my eyes, like buckets of tears actually, was when I watched When They See Us.
Yes.
Now, for those of you who don't know what When They See Us is, When They See Us is a 4-part series that is streaming on Netflix beginning May 31st. It's a 4-parter. And the subject matter deals with the accusal, the arrest, the conviction, and the release of what was then deemed as the Central Park Five, and they are still referred to by that name. One thing that really sticks out to me, 2 things actually that stick out to me, when I watched the first part and the 4th part, I uncontrollably sobbed, especially after the first part.
Yeah.
I uncontrollably sobbed. I don't even know why I sobbed, but I know that I sobbed. I was extremely emotional. Netflix had invited some critics over there to watch all 4 parts in one day.
Yeah.
And me and a couple of others, when we walked out, we looked at each other and we had tears in our eyes, and we were in the middle of the floor in a huddle, bawling for I know a good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's emotional because even though this happened, when it happened, it still is so frustrating that we still live in an America where people think that this is okay. Mm-hmm. And the thing that is really burning my butt in this moment is that there was a PBS documentary that was written, directed, and produced by Sarah Burns, who wrote the book Central Park Five. Mm-hmm. But then a follow-up to that, in between the film and her film, was a 2020 special that came on Friday night called Central Park 5. And when they interviewed the prosecutors and the police team from the NYPD and the jogger herself, and they actually had the nerve to come out of their face and say that they did what they were supposed to do, and they're appalled that these young men are going free, and said all this negative stuff. I'm just like, not for nothing, but it has been proven time and time and time again, not only NYPD is corrupt, but there have been various police officers and police departments and law enforcement organizations across the country in the Black Lives Matter movement, where people have been arrested, jailed, killed. Sandra Bland is a young woman that had mental issues. They incarcerated her. And she was let go in the middle of the night. Nobody knows why she was let go in the middle of the night. The police at first were acting like they didn't know where she was let go to, and she was murdered. That should not be happening in the United States of America. The key word being united.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, we live in 2019. How is this still a thing? When you look back and think that this story happened in 1989, I think that was the thing that really made it so difficult. Because you look back and you said, that's not that long ago.
Yeah, 1989, and this is 2019. It's like, why are we even having that conversation?
Why has nothing changed in 30 years?
Right, exactly.
Like, that's what blew my mind.
And I think that's the thing that emotionally wrecked my nerves. Because I'm just like, why in 30 years am I having this conversation with my sister about, the Central Park 5? Like, why? And this was the thing. This was the key thing that really pissed me off. The investigators knew that there was a sock that had semen in it that didn't match the DNA of none of the five young men that they were in. They had no DNA evidence. They had no physical, tangible evidence that linked any of these young men to the crime. Nothing. They literally told one of the parents they were interrogating kids that were underage without the consent of their parents. There was only one boy that didn't end up sitting in jail, and the only reason he wasn't sitting in jail is because his mama came and got him. When she found out that he was 14 years old and he was being questioned without his parents, she's like, "Oh no, you can't do that. I will go to the New York Times and tell." And so they released him because they wanted to prosecute these boys, and they didn't want any kind of wrench being thrown in their little game that they were playing. And
parents who are adults who know what is right and what is wrong would be that wrench. When you're talking, to these 14 to 16-year-old boys, they don't know.
No.
They have no way of defending themselves, and that's why, so I watched it, I watched it on a screener, I watched it, and began it at work, and I couldn't make it through the first episode. I had to stop and watch something else because I was too frustrated to make it all the way through the end, and then I finished the first episode at home. Again, it was very emotional. I had to skip to the fourth episode. I had to skip to the end.
Oh, so you were just wrecked all day long. The first and the fourth one were the worst ones for me.
Which I didn't know. But
girl, you should have called me. I would have told you. I would have gave you a heads up. I'm like, yo, hey, don't do it. Don't do it.
But the reason I did it was because I couldn't handle any more of the lies. The lies of while they were being interrogated, the lies that people were telling themselves as this all was happening. I just needed to see the end. I needed to see, even though I knew the story, even though I knew that these men were exonerated, I just needed to see them get out. Like, I couldn't wait to watch them be prosecuted. I couldn't wait and watch the trial. I just needed to see it be better before I could go back and watch it be worse again. And I think that's what's so hard about watching these stories is because even though we know the end of it or we know what has or hasn't changed, it doesn't make you there's no way it's going to make you feel better but you also have to watch it. Like you that whole idea with history that you need to know your history so you don't repeat it. You need to know what people are going to do.
I say that here all the time. You have to know your history so that you don't repeat it. Yeah. It was very difficult to watch. The second and the third episodes pretty much dealt with the fact of what happened to them after they were arrested and what being in jail does to a family, what it does to the people that are being incarcerated. My brother was incarcerated for a little time, and when he got out, he was still eating what I called prison food. He was still eating oodles and noodles and that really cheap junk food that you buy at like a 7-Eleven. And I couldn't understand why he was doing that until I saw this film for whatever reason. This film made me call my brother. Yeah. And my brother and I had like a 2-hour conversation about what it was like. Because when I said, why didn't you tell me this before? My brother was like, you told me you didn't want to hear it. And I said, dude, I'm so sorry that I did that. I'm so sorry that I did that to you. So if that happened for me and incited that type of emotion for me to encourage a dialogue between my brother and I, I'm hoping that it encourages a dialogue between other family members who may have had a very similar situation to mine. I'm hoping that it encourages an even stronger conversation about, somebody not being so quick to jump to the law enforcement, not being so quick to jump to the gun with a bullet as opposed to tasing somebody or shoot them in their leg or shoot them, in a foot or shoot them someplace where it's not going to take their life away. And don't try to make stuff up just because you're trying to make a name for yourself. The person that prosecuted my brother, she's now a judge.
Wow.
That's how it happens. That's what happens.
Yeah.
She's now a judge. I shudder to even think what positions the people are in that did this to these young men,
I of course started to look into that and then had to stop. I had to stop because I couldn't watch that 2020 because it
made me mad when I watched it all over again.
I just read some of the quotes and things that had come after, and I think what's also hard is I don't understand what's so wrong in this world with being wrong. Like,
that's a
everybody
good point.
Is so proud of always knowing everything, and sometimes you make a mistake and you hope that you don't make a fatal mistake, and you want to obviously be as right as you can be, but sometimes we're wrong. So can't we just go back and say, you know what, we have more technology now and we learned something from this and this is how we can change and be better? But it is wild how bad people are about being wrong.
Yeah, it really is. And what I really want to talk about at this point is the performances.
Yeah.
The young man that plays Corey Wise, Jarrell Jerome.
Yes.
He needs to go on and get ready to pick up that Emmy. Because when I tell you, this is a young man who, he's the only one that was the oldest one of the young men. Corey Wise was the oldest. He was 16. So instead of him being sent to juvie, he was sent to adult prison with real murderers and grown ass men that were just doing way too much.
Yeah.
But he plays Corey from the time he was 16 to the time he's released. Yeah. You see him age throughout the course. He's the only one that you see age like that. This young man, his acting range in this one project, I'm sure I've probably seen Jarrell Jerome in something else.
In Moonlight.
There you go.
He in the teen section of Moonlight, he and Ashton Sanders.
See? But I didn't remember him from that. But
You're going to remember him from this. There's going to be no forgetting.
I remember him from this. I will never, ever, ever forget him in this. His part in this was a revelation. Yeah. And Niecy Nash as his mother, Dolores Wise. People are really going to take notice of Niecy Nash because this is the thing. Niecy Nash already has an Emmy for Clean House.
Sure
that was a reality show where she was literally cleaning people's houses. Not cleaning them like cleaning, mopping, but like making their houses more tidy, I should say. But people are going to really take notice because they took notice when she was on that HBO series. That pales in comparison to what she's doing in When They See Us. Yeah. People are really going to love what she's doing, and I'm excited for her.
So excited.
And this is why, when I was going on auditions as an actress for sitcom after sitcom, I would see Niecy Nash at all those auditions where they were looking for, the sassy black girl, the girl with an attitude, whatever. Check out the Hollywood Reporter Actress Roundtable with Niecy Nash and Michelle Williams and a couple of other people where she says in that interview that she couldn't play one more sassy maid, sassy best friend, sassy nothing. She said there's something so wonderful about being broken.
Yeah.
I will never forget that she said that. And she is absolutely right, and she's freaking killing it. Other people that are killing it, Ingenue Ellis is killing it. Michael K. Williams is killing it as Tron's father. All of the young men that are playing all of the boys, they're all the cast is superb.
I mean,
just
top to bottom,
from top to
just
bottom. There's not a
incredible.
weak link anywhere.
No.
But you guys, please do yourselves a favor and get some hankies out, because you're gonna be, and you might have to watch it in increments like my girl Angelique
it's incredibly
did.
emotional.
But check out When They See Us. It starts streaming on Netflix on May 31st, and it is directed by Miss Ava DuVernay. Now let's lighten it up and go to another subject.
Yes.
Woo, honey. So I brought it all the way down. Now I'm bringing it all the way up.
Yes.
So,
Back up.
So Jakob Dylan, who is the son of the legendary Grammy Award-winning musician Bob Dylan, he didn't write it. He produced a documentary, and his partner Andrew Slater produced and directed Echo in the Canyon. Now I was kind of like, I don't know about Echo in the Canyon, but so I was like, what's an Echo in the Canyon? Just like taking the title literally, because I'm that person. But literally, Echo in the Canyon is about the sounds of Laurel Canyon. So if you live in Los Angeles, you drive up and down Laurel Canyon all the time, right? Remember that little store, the Laurel Canyon store that sits over there?
Yep.
Now in the bottom of that store is a restaurant. Did you know that?
I did. I still haven't been there though. I've never stopped.
I have been in that restaurant. It is fierce. Oh my God. They have great cocktails down there. It's fabulous food down there. But that's also a place where all these musicians that lived in Laurel Canyon would come down there and get their jam on. Who knew that we were passing history on a daily basis?
Wow.
And I learned that there was a whole plethora of sounds that grew in Laurel Canyon, from the Beach Boys to the Byrds to Buffalo Springfield, Neil Young. Like, all these people were up in the mountains of Laurel Canyon right over Sunset Boulevard, because on Sunset Boulevard were all the recording studios that they would all record in, right?
Want to be close.
Yeah, so it was inspired by a film called Model Shop, and they decided that, wow, we like this film that's taking place in the 60s. Why don't we do a concert around all this wonderful 60s music? And then that concert turned into a documentary. So I was invited to see it at the ArcLight, and then I was pleasantly surprised when Jakob Dylan and his band, the Wallflowers, did a concert afterwards. It was really kind of wonderful. The Q&A afterwards was moderated by Scott Mance, one of my fellow, Scott Mance.
Yes.
And he's been over here a few times. It was really quite lovely. And it's, I think it's in limited release right now. But you guys check it out, because what you will learn is you'll learn some fabulous stories from Michelle Phillips about how the Mamas and the Papas ended up signing their first deal at Capitol Records through Lou Adler. You see her in the studio reminiscing about things. It's really, if you're into that particular 60s scene of music, you're going to love Echo in the Canyon, which is in theaters in a limited release right now. Not directed by Andrew Slater and produced by Jakob Dylan. Now,
I keep making her talk so much.
I know, I'm like, all right. So, two things that I wanted to talk about that I love that are streaming real fast. This one film is See You Yesterday, and it's not too far removed from When They See Us, but it's like taking When They See Us and putting it back to the future.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
There's a direct Back to the Future connection. There's a really, really amazing cameo in
by
it.
Michael J. Fox.
Yes. It gets to say Great Scott. It's amazing.
It's so awesome.
Produced by Spike Lee.
Yes.
And it's absolutely incredible. It's very, for black girl nerds.
Right?
Shout out to black girl nerds also. It's just a really amazing story dealing with time travel, but it also has a much deeper meaning to it. And I think, you get that kind of added depth if you watch it, because I didn't know that that's what I was going into. I was like, a cool time travel movie.
I didn't know. I had a little bit of a clue when I watched the trailer, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me see this. And then my brother was like, you should watch See You Yesterday. It's really good. And I was like, okay, but I didn't realize the only reason my brother was telling me to watch it is because the lead character's name is Claudette, and that's our mother's name.
Aww.
So when I heard him call the character Claudette, I laughed out loud, and then I made my mother come upstairs and we watched it together.
Oh, that is so cute.
It was kind of hilarious that we were watching a movie with her name in it. It was so funny. But that's streaming on Netflix right now. And something else that's streaming on Netflix. Netflix is killing it right now.
Netflix is killing it right now. Like, absolutely killing it. Because, again, I know we mentioned, When They See Us is also Netflix.
Yes. But another thing that's on Netflix is Wanda Sykes' concert, Not Normal. Baby, I can't even remember the last time I laughed this hard when I saw something.
Good.
she had me cracking up. The funniest thing she said, there were two things that she said that made me laugh out loud. The first thing that she said, she was talking about the president, when she said, you know, people have to hate you when you were getting on Air Force One and you got toilet paper on your shoe and they act like they don't see it. I laughed out loud when she said that, and I also laughed out loud when she was talking about
the Vicks Vapor Rub. Oh, the Vicks got me.
No, not that one. You tell. Well,
no, go ahead.
Okay. So the other one that she talked about is when she was talking about going through the change, talking about being hot.
Yes.
Talking about how her little boy was hitting her with the balloon in the throat. Oh my God, I laughed out loud. It was so funny. But the Vicks Vapor Rub, that made me laugh until I heaved.
Yes, because it is, I didn't even realize how specific
that's a black people thing.
Vicks was. I didn't know it was a black people thing. I really, I grew up just thinking everybody was on the Vicks Vapor Rub. I didn't.
That's totally a black people thing.
You know, she's married to a white French woman and has white children, mixed children, and she was trying to put the Vicks Vapor Rub on her daughter, and the wife came in, the daughter came in, they were like, why are you burning us?
Like, why? I was like, my eyes are burning, I can't see it.
You're like, it's just Vapor Rub.
And then she was talking about how they swallow it, how they put, I was like,
It's like, y'all can eat this cheese and you can't handle the Vicks
right,
Vapor
she was
Rub.
like, y'all can eat this stinky cheese, but y'all can't eat Vicks Vapor Rub. Baby, I laughed. My jaws hurt. I laughed. I can't even remember the last time I laughed that hard. Wanda Sykes is hilarious.
Truly. She's one of the few people I've ever seen in the grocery store. She was the first celebrity I saw in the grocery store. So I have a special place in my heart for Wanda. She was just doing her thing. I didn't say anything, but I was like, oh, that's a celebrity. That's Wanda Sykes.
You are too funny. Now, you got some streaming picks that you wanted to bring up too,
yes,
right?
So also more on Netflix. Someone Great, since we were talking about Booksmart earlier, where Booksmart is, for me, the seminal teen movie. Someone Great was really emotional for someone coming into their 30s. That's what the lead characters are doing. It stars DeWanda Wise, Gina Rodriguez, and Brittany Snow. These three women are just incredible together. DeWanda and Gina are actually friends from NYU, so it makes sense, their friendship, but they brought Brittany into the fold. Jennifer Caton Robinson is the director of that film. Michelle Buteau has one scene, but she kills it at the beginning of this movie. So funny, but also so heartfelt, and it really is about female friendships, which I think is something that's so important to talk about. Very similar in scope to Booksmart as well. And speaking of Michelle Buteau, she also stars in a movie that's coming out on May 31st, Always Be My Maybe. I got a quick sneak peek of that one. It stars Ali Wong and Randall Park. And that's also an amazing thing because we're having two Asian American leads in this rom-com. And it is hilarious. These folks, first of all, we all saw the Keanu Reeves moment in the trailer, and it is so worth it in the movie. They are just phenomenal together. It's a very, very sweet love story. They said they wanted to make their When Harry Met Sally, and I think they did it.
Well, all right then. All right.
So keep an eye out for that one next week.
Okay. Now, I didn't write the sister's name down, but history has been made twice. So last year, the Cannes Film Festival culminated at the end of its run for 2019, either today or yesterday. And last year, Spike Lee walked away with the big prize. Yes. And this year, it was a black woman.
Yes,
Yay!
Maddie Diop. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm so sorry. Maddie Diop. I'm not sure. I'm so sorry, everyone.
I don't even want to pronounce her name because I know I'm going to mess it up. But I just wanted to give her a big shout out because this is huge. Yes. There's never been a woman... Yay! Applause,
no, very, very, very exciting.
I just wanted to give her a shout out because that's going to be fantabulous.
Cannot wait to see that.
That movie. She did that. And then I did want to talk about one thing that happened at Cannes. So, So before I do that, in the chat room, Jenna James said, "Yeah, Vicks Vapor Rub is an African thing too. My Nigerian homie put it on her." I said it's a black people thing. Didn't I say that?
Thank you.
I said that, Jenna James.
Confirmed.
It is a black people thing. Vicks Vapor Rub. Learn it, get it, work it.
It works.
it really does.
It'll never failed me.
Whatever that chest thing is, it'll knock that. It'll exercise you. It'll exercise it right out of you. I'm so stupid. Okay. Real quick, I wanted to talk about this situation. So Quentin Tarantino. His movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood debuted at Cannes, and somebody in the press corps, which was a female, asked why he didn't give Margot Robbie any lines in her role as Sharon Tate, and he was like, "I reject that hypothesis," and that's all he said. And I'm like, why so disrespectful?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. And I think it caused a lot of people some pause, and that's why it caused headlines, was because people were like, that probably wasn't the right way to answer that question. Why are you getting so defensive? And I think he's kind of gone on to, or at least Margot got to go on and explain a little bit more what she felt about not having as many lines as Sharon. She felt like she was able to still get enough screen time to fully inhabit the character without necessarily speaking, because she was kind of more this like angelic, ethereal kind of like ghost over the movie, which could be good or bad. I do know that, you know, Sharon Tate's sister was a part of the production, and she signed off on Margot's performance and what happened. But yeah, you have to, when you're in those press conference situations, I do think that there is a level of respect that is supposed to go both ways. And I don't think that the female reporter who asked the question, though she was suggesting that the one female character didn't, or like the lead female character didn't get as much written for her as the male characters, I get what the reporter was saying, but there should also be respect back from the person responding to you, not to just kind of dismiss you like, oh, I can't believe you asked that question. That's always very hard as a reporter. You know, we sit there.
Yeah, I mean, I had pause for the cause because I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino. I really like him. But I was like, ew, why are you being so nasty? I just was not having that. But, you know, hopefully he's learned his lesson. You communicated the situation with that very lovely, so thank you for that, because I would have said something completely different, as we both know. That's why you laughing. Because you know I'd be like, what? But yeah, I just feel like he could have handled that better, and hopefully from this point on he will.
Oh, I think he will. He wants an Oscar.
Yeah, he might wanna. If he's learned nothing, he needs to learn from the Spike Lee school. You know, when Spike Lee calmed it down, he got that golden voice. So I'm gonna need Quentin to kind of like, you know, rein it in a little bit. All right, that went so freaking fast.
I mean, that was amazing, though.
Oh
thank you so much.
God,
this is so fun. Thank you guys also for always watching her, because she is the queen, and I'm so happy I finally got to join her.
I'm
Carla,
so glad you got to
you're
join
amazing.
me too. Where can people find you?
So you can find my work on Variety, but I also have a movie review podcast called Love It or Hate It Movies with Angelique and Elizabeth. So I wanted to give that a shout out. And yeah, you can find me on the red carpet at variety.com.
Yes, and next week, over the next couple of weeks, actually, we'll have reviews by about Octavia Spencer's Ma, Rocket Man. I have an interview with Ron Howard from the documentary Pavarotti coming up in the next few weeks. So come back and join us. Give us some love over at iTunes, on Spotify. Check me out on YouTube. You guys are awesome being in the chat room. Jenna James, Michael B, Marlon Wallace. You guys freaking rock by joining me here every freaking week. I love you so much. You can find me, your girl Carla Renata, across all social media platforms at The Curvy Critic. Normally you can find me right after this over at AfterBuzz TV doing General Hospital, but it's Memorial Day, so my boy Frank has the day off. So I will see you guys there in a week from now. But I'll see you right back here at Black Hollywood Live next week for The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, talking about Ma and Rocket Man. But until then, I'll see you later. Bye.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content. And be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live. Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.